What you are seeing is a dramatic collapse in oil exports. In January 2026, Gulf producers were exporting at full capacity. Saudi Arabia, 9 million barrels per day. Iraq, more than 4 million. The UAE, over 3 million. Iran and Kuwait adding millions more. By March, everything changes. Saudi exports fall to around 3 million. The UAE drops to about 1.6. Iran falls to roughly 1.4. And Iraq and Kuwait almost disappear from the export market. That seems logical, because in this scenario, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. This narrow waterway normally carries about 20 million barrels of oil every day, nearly 1/5 of global supply. So exports should collapse. But look again at the chart. They do not fall to zero. Some oil is still leaving the region. So the real question is, how? The answer is something most people never see: pipelines. Massive pipelines built to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. Some countries prepared for this risk decades ago. Others did not. And that difference explains the chart. Saudi Arabia has the region's largest backup route, the East-West Pipeline, also known as Petroline. It runs across the country, from the eastern oil fields to the Red Sea port of Yanbu. This allows Saudi oil to reach global markets without passing through the Persian Gulf. The pipeline can carry about 5 million barrels per day, and in emergencies up to 7 million. But Saudi Arabia normally exports between 7 and 9 million barrels per day. So even this massive pipeline cannot replace all exports. That is why Saudi exports fall sharply in the chart. The United Arab Emirates built its own bypass, the Fujairah pipeline. Instead of sending oil toward Hormuz, it moves crude to the port of Fujairah. Fujairah sits on the Gulf of Oman, outside the strait. The pipeline can carry about 1.5 to 1.8 million barrels per day. But the UAE normally exports more than 3 million barrels per day. So roughly half of its exports would still be blocked. Iran has also tried to bypass Hormuz. It built the Gorey-Jask pipeline. This system moves oil from southwest Iran to a terminal on the Gulf of Oman. The pipeline is designed for about 1 million barrels per day. But infrastructure is still developing, and sanctions complicate exports. So Iran can still export some oil, but far less than normal. Iraq faces a much bigger problem. Most Iraqi oil leaves through Basra terminals in the Persian Gulf. Those exports must pass directly through the Strait of Hormuz. There is one alternative route, the Kirkuk-Ceyhan pipeline to Turkey. But it carries much less oil, and it has faced repeated shutdowns, which means if Hormuz closes, most Iraqi exports stop. Kuwait is even more exposed. Almost all Kuwaiti crude exports leave through terminals inside the Persian Gulf. Those tankers must pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Kuwait has no major pipeline bypass, so if the strait closes, its exports nearly disappear. This is why the Strait of Hormuz matters so much. Even with all bypass pipelines combined, only a fraction of Gulf oil can avoid the strait. Pipelines can reduce the damage, but they cannot replace geography. And that is why the Strait of Hormuz remains the most critical oil choke point in the world.